Your head is there to dream your dreams. Your feet are there to follow through. Your heart is like a boomerang, boomerang. What you send out comes back to.
Okay. Good day, Australia. Good evening, Internet, and kalimera to our friends from Greece. Welcome to the Wealth Boomerang Show. Is this a show about money? Well, yes and no. The real question is, what is wealth to you? And what is wealth? For those who already have millions of dollars, you may desire additional time to spend with your loved ones. A sick millionaire may wish to give away all their money just to have great health. And some people would give up everything just to have a more deep relationship or a more fulfilling spiritual connection. We believe that whatever you value is wealth to you, and we believe that whatever you send out will come back to you. Every week we speak to people who have operated their wealth boomerangs correctly. They may have boomeranged back from rags to riches or come back from tragedy to triumph. Either way, the stories will touch you, move you, and inspire you along your journey. So sit back, relax, and welcome. Thank you to our sponsor, Boston Trading and Education, who's taking the bite out of Bitcoin and crypto. Thanks to you for joining us. Thanks to Nick for joining us. I'm your host, Jeremy Britton, and this is your Wealth Boomerang Show. Thank you, Nick, for making time in your very, very busy schedule to sit down with us.
Hey, buddy. Thank you, man. No, not busy, but very optimized. Big difference, a dramatic difference.
Yeah, I got to say, you know, I saw you speak many, many years ago. You were speaking on stage with Richard Branson and Tim Ferriss and a few other guys back then. And I sort of looked at this and go, wouldn't it be great to get this guy as an interview? I mean, Richard Branson, yeah, he's a fun guy. He's made millions of dollars and billions of dollars, and he just seems to be enjoying himself. Tim Ferriss, obviously famous for the 4-hour work week. I started my 24-hour work week a few years before Tim Ferriss. And then this guy gets on stage, like, who's this little bald guy? And you go, holy cow, this guy, he just ticks all the boxes for like 6 other stars that you would want to interview. Like, it'd be great to get a rock star on the show. It'd be great to get an astronaut on the show. It'd be great to get someone who's like an adventurer who dives into volcanoes and things like that. And you got everything in the one package, mate. It's absolutely incredible. So just some of the things, like you have been a rock star, you've been a lead guitarist, and you've toured with some amazing bands. Yep. You've literally been an astronaut in outer space. You've gone right down to the bottom of the ocean and sat on the Titanic. You've gone to the top of Mount Everest, jumped inside an exploding volcano. Like, just the photos, it must be all Photoshop, right, mate? It must be all made up, all of these stories. They couldn't possibly be in one man.
Absolutely, definitely. You know, it's like James Bond meets Richard Branson. I mean, my whole life is one big Photoshop, you know. In fact, I created Photoshop, the software. There you are, it's out. Yeah.
But how do you find time to actually, number one, do all these things? Like, if you were part of the Lucky Sperm Club, if your parents were billionaires, you'd probably have the money to do all these things. But how do you find the time in amongst working to make your own money?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's never been about the materialism. It's always been, look, I'm a big believer. Look, you know, in life, nobody gives a fuck about what you own or how much money you got in the bank. You know, you're a caretaker. And, you know, life is not measured by the amount of breaths that you take, but by the moments that take your breath away. So for me, that's what I do, man. I just find the most craziest adventures. You know, it's a mosaic, it's a kaleidoscope, and it's just a representation of who I am. For me, it's that legacy, and that is what is most emotionally profitable to me. And, you know, that's all I do. I just, you know, I get paid to think, and I outsource administration of my ideas to others. And I go around the world and I experience, and you know, I'm the world's foremost cyber gypsy. And, you know, yeah.
I like that. It's better than a digital nomad, a cyber gypsy.
Yeah, life is the greatest show in the world, and I've still got front row seats, and I will always have front row seats to being in control, because I bought back my economic freedom. You know, I've never seeked out security. I've always looked for, you know, economic freedom. You know, I declared my entrepreneurial independence a long time ago. I've created my own economy, my own stimulus plan, and nobody can ever fuck with my business model, because so long as I emotionally and I financially inspire individuals, and so long as I live life on my own terms and I'm fully optimized, and I've got geo life optimization, and I add 3 more days to my weekend, this is how I get shit done on this planet. Like I said, I'm going to be around for another 60, 70 years before I before I stop breathing and fertilizing daffodils. But my point is, I want to illuminate. I want to be a beacon of light. I want to be that lighthouse and inspire individuals worldwide.
I mean, you certainly could inspire individuals just with even one of the things that you've done, but to actually have done all of those things. Were you one of those kids who just couldn't decide what you wanted to be when you grew up?
You know what? It's a good question. I think in retrospect, at the time I didn't realize it, but now it's a blessing. I was very fortunate that I was a very, very sick child. I had chronic allergies, debilitating asthma. And, I was like Australia's pharmaceutical poster boy, I was medically confined to my bedroom. So with nothing to lose at age 8, I just wrote down my top 10 list of goals. Things, like I said, I had nothing to lose. And being a young child, the probing curiosity, defining your why, your purpose. And really, I drafted my screenplay to my life. In other words, my top 10 list of goals. And for the last 32 years, I've been the actor, the producer, and director on my own top 10 list of goals. And, all I've been doing is with mathematical precision, I've just been acting out the screenplay that I wrote down as a young 8-year-old. And that damn 8-year-old still resides in here. He is still my coach, my mentor, and I'm still the student that learns from him, And I remember when I was growing up, goals are great, but, forget about it. Forget about a dream board. I'm very big in action boards, you know what I mean? So I wrote down my screenplay, I internalized it, I emotionalized it inside here on a cellular level over here, and then I socialized it. In other words, when you socialize it, you're basically going to have your peers hold you accountable to those particular goals. So you internalize it, you emotionalize it, then you socialize it over here. And like I said, I've just, I've got 8 down, 2 more to go. And the great thing about being a child is you truly believe you can do anything in the world, because you haven't had academia to grade and chunk you and to compartmentalize you. You know what I mean?
I was going to ask you that, because as an 8-year-old kid writing down some of these goals, like as an 8-year-old, you don't think anything is impossible. But if you're like a 30, 40, 50-year-old writing down goals, you go, I could never be a rock star. I could never do this.
You're all statement oriented, where kids have that secret killing of imagination, that probing curiosity. And the thing is, I never joined academia until about age 10. So I designed my own school curriculum. I grew up on the Encyclopedia Britannica and the world of fucking Tintin, this crazy. So you had the intellectual side, this whole world that existed outside my bedroom windows. And then you had the crazy world of Tintin. He was this rogue reporter with his face down, dive shipwrecks, slept in sarcophaguses. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, and today, I'm like Tintin reincarnated. I'm the love child of the Britannica and Tintin. Crazy, man.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I love Tintin comics when I was a kid as well, and some of those crazy adventures. But of course, that's all made up. But I think you may have been confused, mate. You might have been reading this like it wasn't fiction and just thinking, okay, he's done that, so therefore I'm going to do that. I mean, even the sarcophagus thing, like there's not many people who could actually sneak inside the Great Pyramid in Egypt.
Actually, right? I didn't sneak in. I actually bribed a dictator who's now deposed.
Potato, tomato, you got there, mate. There's how many people in the history of the world in the last 7,000 years who's been inside that pyramid?
Exactly. Well, I think it's always good to have in your goal list, to bribe a dictator. My resume is complete. I bribed a dictator, yes. But, this saves sarcophagus. I was aiming for it because Napoleon, Herodotus, Alexander the Great, and Sir Isaac Newton all slept in it. And I was reading an autobiography by Dr. Paul Brunton. It was a 1937 autobiography. And in 2007, I had no idea I was going to do it, but I pulled it up. I managed to accomplish that particular goal, and it was phenomenal, But I've been back to Egypt since. This time around, basically, we're taping a television series right now for one of the American stations. And I got to climb the outside of the pyramid on top, totally illegal once again. And I had a big beam of light. I was trying to do like the Luxor Casino in Vegas, showing it to the heavens, but on a real pyramid, which is the oldest man-made structure. So I climbed the outside, 51-degree incline over here. It took me exactly 35 minutes to illegally climb it, and then I waited for sunrise. Bang! Had the drones flying around, and then I got arrested.
But I'm so happy that you're actually on the side of the good guys, because someone with your money and your ambition, you would make a really great Bond villain. You know, I can imagine you in the underground lair and, you know, this sort of stuff, secret base inside the pyramids.
Okay, wait till let me give myself a hairless cat. 1 second, okay?
Mate, but you do help a lot of people, not just with the inspiring people to do crazy, outrageous things, but inspiring people to actually reclaim their lives and reclaim that inner child. So apart from Encyclopedia and Tintin, who were some of your early mentors when you were growing up?
Well, I started my first business in Australia at age 17, and then I bought a one-way ticket to Hollywood, California. And I was very fortunate that particular week. I actually met a guy by the name of Bob Proctor. And Bob actually gave me a copy of Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. And he gave me a copy of You Were Born Rich. And that was basically the start of that inspiration, or I guess that journey with personal development. And, you know, personal development, you know, it's more than just the raha guru kind of thing. It's the foundation, self-esteem, ambition, drive, you know. It's what puts a smile on your face, what brings a tear in your eyes kind of thing, you know. And I think that should be the foundation. And I think, you know, everybody should overdose on emotional EQ. And, you know, you build your life on emotional EQ. Then you can erect a skyscraper as a monument to your life or whatever you achieve. You know, IQ can wait. Who gives a fuck about IQ? Emotional EQ is basically how you internalize life, how you emotionalize it, you know, giving vent to your emotions, basically just, you know, just scaling up, leveling up your life or whatever you achieve. But it's being definitive and defining your why. Like we all know the two most important days in your life, the day you're born and the day you discovered why you were born. That's that EQ kind of thing. And I think that's what led me to that particular journey. Then I started working on the financial pillars, you know, I got started with real estate at a very young age in my teenage years, you know, and I'm basically a big investor in multi-family apartment buildings. I never bought single family homes. I've always bought apartment buildings. These days I'm buying a lot of apartment buildings in Florida and Texas, and, you know, just basically building my arsenal portfolio over here, you know, so that's just massive passive income, and I can leverage on those deals here. And then and what I do is everything I do, money has a relationship. There's a sequential order of money. So, for example, I've got all my side hustles, I've got all my entrepreneurial income. Then I invest in real estate. Then I siphon the equity from that real estate, and I use the revenue generated from the real estate, and I go into cryptocurrencies, for example, as opposed to after-tax dollars straight to speculation. There's a sequential order of my money. So there's emotional connection money, and then you basically play the big unicorn money, which is more emotionally disconnected money kind of thing. And I mean, I can, you know, so my main investments is, you know, I build subscription business models. You know, I build very addictive type products, type of subscription type services. I get people addicted to my products, and then I just simply service addiction.
In a good way, though. You're not selling crack to school children, mate.
I'm giving products that are so addictive, so white, because they actually work for the individual kind of thing, you know. And I've been building subscription businesses now for like over a decade. But I'm also a big investor in our tech companies, you know. I mean, you know, there's two things in particular that all I want to do is this. I want to get paid to think. Then simply outsource administration of ideas to others. So basically, I build businesses. I'm a visionary. I'm very creative. I build a blueprint. I build the business funnels. Then I find good key people, you know. Products and services can always be improved, but people cannot change, you know. Neuroplasticity can only go a certain way before a person is pretty much hardwired to be either like a total dick or to be the most inspirational individual who's willing to take massive action to cut every side of a tree kind of thing. So I always find a good quarterback to run my businesses, you know. So I want to get paid to think and then simply outsource the administration of my ideas to others, you know. This here is my cell phone. I've got a very unique phone plan. I have unlimited 4G data, unlimited data worldwide in about 193 countries. And all I pay is about $197 a month. Insane. When I'm out of reach, for example, if I'm in Antarctica or the Arctic or somewhere really crazy and remote, I've got a satellite phone. My iPhone goes into my satellite phone, and now I've got reach to the outside world. I could be in the bottom of the volcano, and I can reach my business partners, you know. And all I said, look, if you've been to an orchestra, you've got a conductor with a baton, you know. I am the conductor. This here is my baton over here. And all my quarterbacks are the musicians in the orchestra pit, you know. And there's a sort of correlation to life, and obviously a leader has no title, but those who get paid to work for those who get paid to think. I get paid to think.
Right. There's a lot of people out there who may be, working and doing physical labor, which obviously, it's hard to work in a physically laborious job for 60, 70 years. It's hard to make a fortune in a physically laborious job. So there's a lot of people out there going, oh my God, I'd love to get paid to think because I'm thinking all day, I have these thoughts. So one of the things you're saying is, okay, have the creative thought, solve a problem, come up with a new solution, and then get someone else to actually do the implementation or the admin. But one thing that's going to stop people say, I've got a great idea for inventing this new thing, but I don't have any money. What do I do about that?
It always starts with this. First of all, with the 5-day weekend, it starts with how to keep more money. First of all, give yourself an instant pay rise by repatriating money that is legally owed to you via whether you're overpaying in insurances or overpaying in taxes. Give yourself an instant pay rise. Next, find a bit of a side hustle. Now, look, it doesn't take money to make money. With the side hustle being a little bit more entrepreneurial, declaring your entrepreneurial independence, whether it's driving Uber, for example, like if you've got crazy, massive credit card debt, or like you've got a liability, or you've got a storage unit of boxes, and the contents of those particular boxes are all made in China. Why? Because it's all cheap shit. My point is this: dismantle that credit card debt, start to, liberate that life and become more of a minimalist kind of thing. And if you're going to buy something, make sure it counts for the next 20, 30, 40 years or whatever. Don't buy things just for the sake of just buying crap and buying shit. So have a bit of a side hustle, dismantle your credit card debt, personal loan debt, dismantle all your liabilities. And what you're going to do is this: now you're freeing up, you're removing some anxiety and eliminating what? That disorientation, whatever. Now, when you've got time to think, you've got greater clarity, you've got greater focus, now you can start to harness and hone in relation to what you want to do. Next is this: if you've got a particular product or service, look, the average individual has about 3 particular skills they're particularly good at. So define your skill, define your passion, and find a product that is actually in market demand. So for example, if it's underwater basket weaving, good luck, it ain't gonna happen. If your product is like, 15th century wedding dresses, good luck, that ain't gonna happen as well, you know what I mean? Find a product that's high market demand over here, it pertains to your skill set, and something where you're passionate about. Now here's the interesting thing: you don't have to have the skill set. I mean, for example, right now, where we are, 2018, businesses right now are where they were in 2002, when most businesses didn't have a website. Well, today, 2018, most businesses do not have an app in relation to the business where they can communicate with their clients by push notification, by beacon technology, where they can communicate with their clients. This device over here is 1 meter away from each individual. There's 4 billion of these worldwide. So my point is, an app is probably the fastest way, probably exponential ways to expedite and amplify your voice to your particular community and ecosystem over here. So, I mean, look, I'll give you one particular business right now. Okay, in America, there's millions of businesses, okay? They have literally they've come from the Yellow Pages ecosystem to the modern day iPhone, and they've got no idea, they've got zero social media representation. You know what? You can get paid $2,000 or $3,000 handling the entire social media account, driving leads, driving traffic to the website or to their particular services, and get paid $2,000 or $3,000 a month. Here's the thing: they have no idea about social media, but you know what? You do it. And if you have no idea, you can outsource it to somebody else in Asia to do it all for you. What you do is this: you build the app, you charge them $1,000. Okay, there's app softwares out there you can purchase for $300 that can build an app. You basically sell that business the app for $1,000, and then you charge a $99 maintenance fee. Okay, my point is there, bang. If you can do 10 of these a month, that's like $10,000, okay? In apps, so you've just sold, plus that's $1,000 passive income in the maintenance fees. I mean, how about social media agency, handling the Instagram, Facebook, YouTube over here? I mean, retargeting over here. I mean, that's another $3,000 per business over here. 10 businesses, that's $30,000. All you do is this: you be the conduit, you go out there, you're the other one who's networking over here. Have somebody else who's in the trenches. Remember, they get paid to work. You get paid to think. But look, there's a mosaic and specific with technology. And look, it's free to get started. I mean, these services, look, whether it's Shopify or whether it's selling things on Amazon via drop shipment over here. I mean, look, 50% of what is sold on Amazon is from private individuals. That's why you don't see a car in a garage anymore. Why? Because most garages in Australia, have what? They're full of boxes with shit. Because now the car is outside in the driveway, you know? And
well, you can either be buying the stuff or you can be selling the stuff, right?
Absolutely. I mean, in America, 1 in 6 Americans has a storage unit. Why? Because the house is full of shit. The garage is full of shit. And if your shit ends up in a box, it's really shit. My point is, it's just my abilities. It will not serve any particular purpose. Listen, you're an asset. Start acting like an asset. Monetize you before life monetizes yourself.
Mate, I think there's so much in that people who are watching this are going to have to go back and replay that last few minutes and write that stuff down.
It's like, you know, when you emotionalize experience, and by the way, I'm not drunk right now and I'm not on drugs. I'm high on, you know, I mean, where does the energy come from? You know, energy comes from being excited about what you do and being excited about life. I'm the type of person, I feel guilty if I sleep more than 5 hours. You know, think of this, right? Look, you can't buy back life. So for me, I'm going to do whatever it takes to excavate my life's purpose every day. That's why I travel around the world. I've been to 150 countries. Why? Because why not? Because it's the mosaic. It's, you know, it's your legacy. It's your experience. I get the craziest ideas when I'm traveling around the world. I was doing a big tour in West Africa last year. And literally within 3 weeks of my West African visit, I developed a new business in West Africa, basically a consultancy business to all the Chinese firms that are basically out there, kind of thing. So the point is, if I hadn't gone to West Africa, I would not have had that business idea, you know. And now I've got a team, and that's growing, and that's become a whole passive income stream, servicing countries along West Africa, because China is one of the biggest investors in Africa. And, you know, so basically...
A lot of people wouldn't know that, mate. I mean, you know, 20, 30 years ago, we were complaining, all the American companies and Australian companies setting up sweatshops in China and setting up bases in China. But the Chinese have learned, and they've copied this. And when their wages have gone up, the Chinese are actually outsourcing to Africa. I saw huge Chinese factories in Africa when I was there. It was amazing, absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
and most people don't realise it's going on.
Yeah, and China understands something. See, China, all China is interested is in agricultural land. Because people don't realize Africa is the most fertile continent on the planet. And, you know, I'll say this, a desert becomes a forest with the right gardener. You know, with European engineering, Africa was the most fertile continent because we had 2,000 years of European farming engineering, what have you too, right? Now, Africa, what China's doing now, basically Africa is in need of what? Roads, development, bridges, airports. And China's going to say, listen, we'll go in there, we'll build you this, we'll build you this, we'll build you this. And Africans are saying, bring it on. China says, return, we want access to your oil, to your mines, to your gold, to your diamonds, to this. So basically, China's allowing the Africans to pay off the debt over 30 years whilst they siphon all the minerals and the resources for 30 years. And you know what Africa's doing? They're not using local labor. They're freeing up their prisons. So they're using the prisoners from their respective country in China, taking the prisoners, all the Chinese prisoners, moving them to Africa, and that's their labor to basically build the airports and the bridges and what have you. So it's like they're convicts. So they're entering their prisons, that's the labor, doing the workers, doing all the work. I mean, they're not paying the workers anything, are they? Because what? They're convicts. And they've got a 30-year deal with those African countries. Right now, Ghana, China runs Ghana. And I saw basically a business where I could be the conduit between the Africans and the Chinese. And that consulting business, just bang. I just found some good key people. They're my quarterbacks. And I just simply oversee it. I mean, just another idea, you know, and that's what I love about traveling, because it just enables, you know, you see opportunities. And I feel a lot of individuals, and sometimes in Australia, where the thinking is very local-nomically orientated, where you only think about your local community. And the thing is, listen, I've logged online right now. I'm in Florida, okay? And I'm communicating with you. Well, guess what? The moment you're online, you're a global citizen. You know, I think a lot of us forget about that. And the thing about, you know, having entrepreneurial businesses, you know, your side hustles. I mean, money doesn't discriminate. Money, you know, money's orientation is, it wants to lubricate the rest of the world. So, you know, 365 days a year, 24/7 over here, money is still being generated for me over here. As opposed to the average individual working a Monday to Friday type of gig. You know, they work Monday to Friday, they get paroled for the weekend, you know. They're working hard enough at work so they don't get sacked, and the employer's going to pay them just enough so they don't quit over here. And then with budget tax dollars, they use that to basically service their lifestyle. And 100% of their income is active. It's reliant on them to either report to a workstation, a cubicle, or a factory floor over here. I mean, look, people don't understand academia is simply a factory, assembly plant for the sole purpose of producing what? Taxpayers. You know, this tyranny of impoverished thinking over here, where our 100% of our income is active and we have zero passive, we have no assets over here. You know, and I'll tell anybody right now, the real question is this: how long can you withstand your lifestyle if you stopped working right now?
Most people about a month, right?
Yeah, and have you designed a life that you don't need a vacation from? You see, if you're counting down the days to your weekend, you despise your life. If you're counting down the months to your next vacation, you despise your life. If you're counting down the years until retirement, you fucking hate your life.
It's funny, I talk with my coaching clients and say, what do you like to do on the weekends? Because most people, I think there's a survey, like 80 to 90% of people hate Monday mornings and hate their work. So what do you do on the weekends? Because, you know, if you like riding horses, or if you like painting, or if you like whatever, you know, messing around on the computer, there's someone in the world who's actually getting paid to do what you do for fun. You've just got to find out who that is, how that is, and how to get paid for doing what you love to do. So
absolutely, definitely.
It's amazing stuff.
You know, a lot of individuals, you know, by age 35, they've got financial diabetes, and at age 65, they've got financial cancer, you know, and within 10 years of retirement, they're dead. And look, you either develop passive income streams or you're going to work until you die. Simple as that.
Right, fantastic. You get very passionate. You get very excited. I know you've just had a big lunch. So for most people, they'd be napping after their big lunch. And you know, I was very excited to chat to you this morning. I woke up like an hour and a half before the alarm because I'm like, oh, God, the rockstar astronaut, sort of Thrillionaire dude.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate your patience, Tim, man. Definitely. You know.
Yeah. Right. When you're in business, sometimes you've got to be calm, you've got to be rational, you've got to be measured. You know, whether you're trading shares or when you're negotiating a property deal or building a business, you've got to be calm, you've got to have that insight. So what sort of meditation techniques do you use to calm down and get centered?
Yeah. For me, it's like, I mean, you know, if I was to probably look at the way I would get up in the morning, I guess, you know, it's always a cold shower. You know, I get up at around 5:30 in the morning. So it's always a cold shower. And then usually like a run or a walk on the beach. And then I do the 777 breathing, where you basically breathe in for 7 seconds, hold it, and then exhale for 7 seconds. And I do that 7 times, you know, just to recalibrate my thinking over here. And the morning sun, you know, just to calibrate my thinking over here, focus. I don't look at my cell phone for at least 1 hour because it normally takes about an hour to indoctrinate your mind and brain to today's thinking, for example. Because sometimes, like, it's like, people have different ways to recharge. Like, it's kind of like, imagine your car in winter. You're going to spend about 10 minutes warming the engine, right? Well, you know, once you understand your ultradian rhythms and your circadian rhythm, it normally takes about an hour to really be awoken for the day, you know, to really be like on your game, optimized. So I like to do as much as I can in that 1 hour, sit in morning sun, have a workout, you know, listen to like an audio book or something. And then after 1 hour, then I look at my phone and then I'm in the zone, for example, you know. But it's, you know, there's ways you can sort of orientate yourself to the experience. But, you know, if I sleep 5 hours, I always, 7 hours after I wake up, I have a biphasic sleep pattern where I do like a power nap for 25 minutes. It's a stage 2 power nap, not stage 4. Never in the bed, normally on a couch. And it's 25 minutes. I time it, bang. And it's just like, you know, charging your iPhone for the second half of the day. And that lasts me until 1 a.m. And then 1 a.m. I'm asleep, and I wake up at about 6 a.m. every day.
Fantastic.
Irrespective. 7 days a week.
I know Isaac Newton and Einstein and a few guys were big fans of the power nap. So you teach all your people how to do the power nap? Absolutely,
power nap. But look, my grandmother, one of the oldest women in Europe, she died 109. She would have a power nap 7 hours after she woke up. And the thing is, back in her days, you know, she was born 1890. She died 1999. A few weeks shy of living through 3 centuries. Pretty insane. But all my sets of grandparents are all centenarians. My mother's village, where, I mean, genetically wise, I'm made in Greece, I'm Mediterranean, but my parents' village is a place called Oftopolo. The youngest person right now is 89. 1/3 of the village are all centenarians.
Wow.
But you know what? They sleep when the sun goes down and they wake up when the sun rises. Everything is organic. There's no artificial lights to keep them awake, disrupting the circadian rhythm over here. They've got a fresh water well, which comes from the mountain springs. So they've got this constant water source of clean water. All the food is free range. And the thing is, they're very high in social equity. And I'll give you an example. They wake up, when I walk down to the bakery, they're going to run into about 20 of their friends and have like 2 hours of conversations. So that urban close proximity of friendship, it gives them a purpose kind of thing. And also during the weekends, a lot of the young folk come from the big cities where they go for work, and they seek the wisdom of the elders back in the small little villages, that, my friend, is why they live so old, and I go there every time, and I just study them. I love observing human life, and I observe what they do, how they live. I mean, there's a church probably about 300 feet high up from the highest point of the village, and I see individuals in their 90s and their 100s pushing each other up the hill. Man, whereas, look, I live in the United States. Americans get to a certain point in the 60s and say, you know what, I don't want to walk anymore. I want a wheelchair.
We're all those little rascal scooters,
I don't understand. It's like inactivity over here. It's like, man, I go crazy. I climb mountains because it's that fresh air. I love challenges. It's that gauntlet of challenges. And, I want to orientate and view life from a different perspective, a different lens, where I can reverse engineer and streamline my businesses. But people, they get to a certain point and they just no longer want to be mobile. They no longer want to be active. And it's like, I just don't get it. It's like, life is precious. I love life. I mean, fuck, man. If my life was to expire for whatever reason, I would probably be the most pissed off poltergeist in the world.
But you've already done so much, mate. You've already ticked more things than a normal person would have ticked off.
But there's so much.
Probably more than 5 people would have done.
If it's still my stuff that I still haven't done, kind of thing, But
you seem to have the mindset figured out. You've got the health figured out, and I love what you're saying about rising with the sun and setting with the sun and being part of the natural world, because we forget that this is all artificial. Like, money is artificial, jobs are artificial. Obviously, a mobile phone and alerts are artificial.
Exactly. Even your age. I mean, my chronological age is different to my biological age, and my physiological and my psychological age. There's 4 different components over here.
You're still 8 on the inside, right?
I'm the biggest kid. I mean, if there's a puddle, I'll be the first one to jump on the puddle. If there's a trampoline, I'm the first one to be on that fucking trampoline. You know what I mean? So my point is, I keep young. I feel young because my mentor is an 8-year-old, and he's inside me, and he will never. I mean, Dan, who I am is because of him. It's not because of myself. It's because of him. And I'm accountable to him because of that top 10 list of goals, that screenplay, 8 down, 2 more to go. So once I've completed the other 2, I guess I'm ripe for alien abduction. Who knows,
You'd be ready to write another 10 goals, mate. So share with us, when are the next 2 happening?
Well, the last 2 is basically number 2 is living on a space station. Number 1 is actually walking on the moon. But I tell individuals, I always have my disaster plan B in place. In the event of my expiry for whatever reason, I've already paid up an American consortium. It's actually in my will that my crematorial remains will be rocketed to the lunar surface of the moon, and I will walk. So
you're going to walk on the moon, come hell or high water, right?
On the moon, no atmosphere, no rain, no wind, meaning when my ashes are deposited on the lunar surface of the moon, I will be there for eternity. And my offspring, my lineage, wherever they are in the world, they can always see me.
There's Uncle Nick. He's smiling at us. Right, that's fantastic. Yes, that's fantastic. Otherwise, you could buy some moon rocks and you could walk on those.
Yeah, definitely. Why not? Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Absolutely. You've got so much passion. As I say, you've got enough passion and enough life purpose for 5 or 6 other people. And part of your thing now is sharing. Your Thrillionaire was your first book, is that correct?
Yep, Thrillionaire was the first book, which is kind of like an autobiography interspersed with sort of financial education. The new book over here is called 5-Day Weekend. And really, it's already become a Wall Street Journal bestseller here in the United States. And I believe by Tuesday of next week, it's going to be a New York Times best-selling book here in America.
Congratulations, mate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Very exciting over here. But the Americans have really it's really resonating with the American message, because I mean, I moved to America at age 17, a young, naive, impressionable child. I am still a young child, but you know, I came here when Ronald Reagan was in office, chasing the American dream. And you know, I believe the world's a meritocracy. You know, it's always going to reward ambition and drive, kind of thing. And I realized that that many entrepreneurs had no idea about investing, and most investors were not even entrepreneurs. You know, and I found a lot of individuals who owned particular businesses just bought themselves a business. They were paying themselves last and running an adult daycare center. And then we had individuals who were employees, basically working Monday to Friday. They could parole for the weekend, and come Friday, they put their hand out, being subservient to somebody else to pay them. And they have no guaranteed contract of employment. But there wasn't a book which showed you how to, first of all, keep more money, how to make more money, being a lot more entrepreneurial, how to grow more money, being more of an investor, for example, you know, multifamily apartment building, storage units, you know, that type of thing, you know, recession-proof type industries. And then utilizing the cash flow from here to invest in more momentum, unicorn type investments that are more momentum, high paying, but carry a little bit more risk. But the thing is, make the money here where the money is more emotionally connected, and then invest over here where the money is now emotionally disconnected. And then obviously the hardest phase is the amplification, the power up, which is self-esteem, the belief system, you know, being happy, being healthy, looking after your temple, looking after your body over here. And see, look, anybody can make money, but preserving your capital and your wealth is a very difficult thing, I realized.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, but you have the safe money and you have the speculative money, because there's some people out there who their safe money is going to work and getting their income every week, and their speculative money is buying a lottery ticket. Well, obviously, you know, they got Buckley's chance of ever winning the lottery, and also the safe money is not that safe, because the boss can get ticked off at them next week. They can lose their job. There can be a downturn in the economy. They got nothing.
You have no guaranteed contract of employment. You know, where what I'm doing is I'm teaching individuals how to have their own personal economy, how to create their own stimulus plan, how to be an entrepreneur. You know, by defining product skills in demand, things that are recession-proof over here. You know, and the way I invest, I mean, that's what I do. I mean, you know, I build my passive income ratios, understanding what your PIR ratio is. So, for example, most Australians, in fact, 95% of the adult population in Australia has one single source of income, and it's active. You know, and the thing is, their active ratio is 1-to-1. So, for example, if their expenses are $4,000, 4,000 in for their job, 4,000 out. And 10 years later, they got nothing to show for it. So my point is, you know, if you've got $4,000 of expenses, make sure you're generating at least $4,000 in passive income, which is emotionally detached from your active income. Now figure this, how much anxiety have you now eliminated? Now imagine a 2-to-1 ratio. So you're generating $8,000 passive and $4,000 in expenses. And here's a trick. So whatever you're making in your active job or your active business or your active entrepreneurial income, now you invest 100% of that in more investments, so you can scale up your passive income ratios. So you get it from 3-to-1, 4-to-1, to 5-to-1, to 10-to-1. So imagine this, now you've got $10,000 worth of expenses, but you're generating $100,000 a month. Now you've got freedom of what? Choice, freedom of location, geo lifestyle optimization over here, clarity of thinking over here. Now you can actually go out there, excavate your life's purpose, you know, have a mission statement, go out there, be far more cosmopolitan, build your mosaic. It's a kaleidoscope, as an attribute, as a monument to your existence. And then go out there and amplify the message, share the love and share the passion over here. And if you're a parent, you got kids, well, guess what? Transform those little liabilities into assets. The sooner you monetize them with your education and your knowledge, you monetize them before they monetize you.
I love it. I love it. I guess, you know, you're around about the same age as me, probably a bit younger. But when you're an 8-year-old and saying, I'm going to have this, I'm going to do this, it probably wasn't as easy to start an international business. And nowadays we've got, like, you know, 17-year-old kids who can be buying and selling stuff on Amazon, or can be buying and selling stuff on eBay. They can be hiring people in an emerging economy for, you know, a couple of dollars an hour to do their admin. It's just amazing, the technology that we've got. We're aware that it's there, but most people aren't using it. Most people aren't leveraging. Most people aren't outsourcing.
Exactly. We choose not to harness it. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, there's young 14-year-olds here in the United States doing $200,000 a month on Amazon.
Yeah.
Dude, at 14 years of age, I was on a BMX bike, you know?
14 years of age, I was working at McDonald's. I was getting paid $2.15 an hour. looking forward to my 15th birthday when I was going to get paid $3.15 an hour and go, hey, that was a lot of money back then.
I mean, the opportunities now, if you just simply just harness and just, you know, it's a lot of it's just, it's enabling your mind and being in a more resourceful state. You see, the opportunities are always there. Like I said before, we're a meritocracy. We reward ambition and drive, you know. But here's the thing too. I find a lot of the millennials these days, their self-entitlement is basically where it really is probably the biggest problems right now in the United States, because they want everything. They want things for free, you know, where I believe our generation over here, we're in the trenches, we're hungry, really hungry. And I see the hunger. It's not as diverse and as profound as it was in my generation growing up, kind of thing, you know. Because, you know, you're in your 20s, you're going to go out there, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, but you're hungry, you want to create wealth, and you're very, very selfish in your 20s. So I was incredibly selfish. In my 30s, I get a little bit more wise building businesses, but I'm still fucking up and making some mistakes, you know. In your 40s, now you've generated a lot more wisdom. You've lost millions of dollars, but you've generated tens and tens more millions of dollars over here, you know. It's amazing how we undergo this sea of change with each particular decade over here. But I know ultimately, you know, all I want to do is I'm that beacon of light, that lighthouse. I want to inspire individuals, you know. And I just find a lot of kids these days, you know, if you allow academia to institutionalize your child and to condition them, and then allow the grading system to grade what they can or what they cannot do in life, then, you know, you need to basically interrupt your child. And, you know, look, and I say this as, you know, I plan to become a parent, but my children will be travel schooled. They won't be homeschooled. I don't believe in academia. I'm going to teach them education. And, you know, never let academia get in the way of a good education, right? But give them an education, a profound education based on merit, business, self-esteem, belief system, manners, discipline, you know, understanding how the world works, you know, different languages, immersing yourself in different cultures. And then I will give them one donation, I'll give them all one amount of cash, and that'll be the only handout ever in life. And you know what? And these kids will be assets. And my point is, you know, if a parent goes to all the trouble and equips them and teaches them everything about life, then I think it's a parent's right to take a 10% clip of their children's future earnings for life.
That's a great investment, mate. Because as you say, like most parents, you send the kids off to school, you teach them how to get a job. You don't teach them life skills. Who's running the education course, how to live to be 109 and be healthy?
Exactly.
You know, who's running the education course on leveraging, outsourcing, having business, having hobbies that make you money?
I know. You can't
I think you well deserve that, mate.
You can't monetize liabilities, but you can monetize an asset. And the point is, take a 10% clip of the future earnings. And guess what? The Australian population is going to go, because every parent's going to have 5 or 6 kids now thinking, 6 streams of passive income. Bring it on.
Everybody should have 10 kids, mate. But I'm just thinking now, perhaps in the education system, all we're going to do is, like, not just you having 10 kids, but we need to clone 10,000 of you and have these teachers in the education system saying, okay, I'm going to teach you how to run business, how to minimize your tax, how to create assets, how to create passive income. And if the teachers were going to take, you know, even 1% of what their star pupils were going to, obviously that's going to change the education system, mate.
Yeah, look, you've got to incentivize life, and you've got to have some form of gamification. You know, implement the Kaizen principle. The Kaizen is basically small incremental steps. You know, teaching kids how, like for example, whatever they generate in the month of May has to be 3% more than what they generate in the month of April. Yeah. And the month of June has to be 3% more than what they generate in the month of May. So each month, the gamification, where you're gamifying the experience month to month. You see, I gamify my life. Nik Halik, May 18, is competing with Nik Halik, April 2018. You know, I don't compete with anybody else because we all operate in different time zones. Some people are a little bit ahead, some people are a little behind. You know, it's your own time zone, not in actual time, but time zone up here. You know, it's a calibration of thinking. It's your polarity of your inductive thinking, how you basically, you know, reverberate, you know, in the real world over here. So find your own time zone, find your own sweet spot, and then gamify yourself. You know, that's all I do, man, the Kaizen principle. And kids need the gamification process. Imagine if you increased your income 3% every month since age 20. How much money would you have in a bank account right now? Millions.
I love that because there's a lot of kids out there who are watching, celebrities and Kardashians and this sort of stuff and going, oh, I wish I had their money. I wish I had their opportunity. And we're comparing ourselves to this, unreachable goal. And we need to sort of turn around and go, okay, look, these people that I'm, perhaps outsourcing to in the emerging countries, look how much better I am off than them. Have some gratitude, have some appreciation. And also, what can I do with the technology to actually utilize that and lift up both economies and also competing with yourself and getting better, constant, never-ending improvement. Getting better rather than saying, I wish I was like that, or maybe I'm better than that, but I should be comparing myself to myself and saying, how much better am I this year than I was last year?
Absolutely. Be your own worst critic, that open feedback kind of thing. Because here's the thing, ultimately you have to look yourself in the mirror and you have to respect yourself. That's
Mate, fantastic. I think we're almost out of time. I know you've got to catch flights. You've got a huge book tour coming up and all sorts of stuff going on. But I think you've given us about 3 hours of material in the last few minutes, which is fantastic. I'm just going to have to watch this on slow speed.
Thank you for allow me to enlighten your audience and your tribe and your ecosystem. But look, here's the thing. I'm all about the 5-day weekend lifestyle. Here's the book. 5dayweekend.com. It'll be released across Australia in the month of June. The book's going to be released in Europe now. But it's an exciting book. But like I said, I'm the lead fighter in this. I've declared war on the 5-day work week because I believe the 5-day work week really hasn't evolved. Because here's the thing I've got to say before we finish. 120 years ago, the whole existence of a job didn't exist. 120 years ago, there wasn't jobs. We were all entrepreneurs. Our great-great-grandparents were all entrepreneurs, hustlers, merchants, going out there, doing their thing. And then we've all become institutionalized and conditioned to have a job and then get caught up on the wrong side of capitalism and then take on debt.
That's a fascinating thing that you say there, mate. And most people wouldn't realize that until you look back a little bit in history. Like 200 years ago, your grandfather was the blacksmith and he'd teach the kids how to be blacksmith, or he's a farmer and teach the kids how to be farmer. There weren't institutional schools. Everybody was working for themselves. The family units were much closer because you'd be sitting at your parents' knees and learning a trade, learning how to sew, learning how to knit, learning how to bang an anvil or whatever it was that your parents did. And now we're all sort of pushed into different careers and different schooling systems. So, a couple of 100 years ago, there was no jobs and there was no tax, and yet we still had a thriving economy.
And Jeremy, it's got to the point now where once upon a time we used to thrive, a career of choice. Now we don't thrive, we just survive because we're working a job of necessity. And I feel the proliferation, we've been indoctrinated into this particular style of thinking which no longer serves humanity's purpose and basically serves the bankers, serves the system, and where there's this an aquarium of ignorance, and we're all players, and basically there's puppeteers that are dictating the terms of our lives. And let's get all matrix here, the blue pill and the red pill. I really believe the 5-day weekend is that red pill to financial prosperity, financial freedom, and declaring your entrepreneurial independence and buying back your economic freedom, sir.
Absolutely. Mate, just one last thing. Everyone's going to they've got to get both books. Absolutely got to get both books because the 5-day weekend is going to free up your life, and then you need the Thrillionaire book to know what to do with it. But going back to that sort of tribalism kind of thing, I guess, and now you invest your unicorn money, not your safe money, but your speculative money into cryptocurrencies and things like that. But obviously the technology driving that is the blockchain. The blockchain I see as a great equalizer where we can sidestep the banks, we can sidestep the governments. So where do you see society is going to be, say, 50, 60 years with this kind of technology where we can actually get rid of the middleman?
Well, look, banks will always exist. There'll always be a way for banks to exist. I mean, the banking system and the blockchain will share the same habitat. But, look, right now, with cryptocurrencies, we are 1996. And, think 1996. You had the battle of
I first connected the internet.
Windows and Netscape, People don't understand. Amazon came in 1998. In 1998, Google was one of 18 search engines, So we're like 1996 in this. We don't know. Bitcoin could be the MySpace or the Friendster in our generation. We still don't know this. But what I do, I don't just buy the coins. For example, like what I do is, I run a big mining facility for my clients and also for my own portfolio in certain places around the world where my electricity is about 3.5 cents per kilowatt per hour. And, you know, I build big mining rigs that are paying about $150,000 a month net. So what I do is this, about 20% of all the proceeds that I generate on a monthly basis, I use those to trade the altcoins. And then ultimately, I also invest in the blockchain, because the blockchain is the infrastructure. Think of the highways, and then you've got buses, cars, and motorbikes that are different coins using the same infrastructure.
Yeah. The infrastructure is always going to be there, right?
Invest in the infrastructure. That's what the blockchain is too. And is it going to change lives? Is it going to change the way we do business? Absolutely it is. But I still believe there will be a purpose for the banks. And, you know, look, and obviously, you know, cryptocurrencies, it's too big to fail. They would need to shut down the internet in order to turn it off over here. Look, we can go on ages about cryptocurrencies. It's a phenomenal space. But my point is, whatever you generate in cryptocurrencies, make sure you reinvest it in real world economies, like multifamily apartment buildings. You don't want to go all too speculative and go all in. My point is, make some profit, take away 50%, and then go back into real world economies, old school economies like real estate, what have you, you know? And then when you make another 50% gain, then take 25% out, you know, increment. So you're basically playing with the house money at the end of it.
Absolutely. Fantastic. I mean, I'm sort of thinking like down the track, if we all have digital currency, then the banks won't need to have a bricks and mortar building. Like, when's the last time you actually went into the bank? They won't need to have safes. They won't need to have the ATMs. So maybe they can cut their costs a lot because there won't be actual physical currency that needs to move around the place. Same with like Netflix. We're getting everything digitally now rather than actually going and picking up the DVD.
Everything is on demand. I mean, when the average individual does a bank wire, it doesn't take 7 days. What they're doing is they're investing your money for 7 days, and at the end of it, they send the money to where it needs to go. I mean, it's just raping and pillaging over here. I mean, I can send you $5 in Bitcoin right now. If I was to send you $5 million in cash, I'd be arrested. If I have $5 million in 15 different suitcases, I'll be arrested.
Yeah.
I actually made history January of this year. We were selling a castle in Italy for 2,300 Bitcoin. But, you know, I mean, I was at the Monaco Yacht Show last year, September. I mean, there were people selling yachts, multi-million-dollar yachts in Bitcoin, you know, from one firm to another firm, transacting over here. No middleman, no conduit over here.
And no briefcases.
You know, it's selling what? Convenience. Once again, you're supplying a niche. You're finding a niche in the marketplace, and you're fulfilling it over here. But life is great, dude. And like I said, life is the greatest show in the world. Make sure that we all have front row seats. Jeremy, an absolute pleasure, my friend. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nick. And everybody, make sure you rush to the 5dayweekend.com. It's out now in the States. It's a bestseller, coming out this month or next month in Australia. Thank you so much, Nick. It's been very exciting. We're going to need to unpack this interview, take notes, transcribe that, and send people a copy of it. It's just amazing, amazing content. And you give so much. You inspire so much. So really appreciate your time. And thank you for watching the show. Every week we profile someone who's boomerang back and created their own wealth in their own way. So make sure you connect with Wealth Boomerang Show on Facebook. Chat in the group there. Any other questions you'd like to ask Nick or our previous guests, any other guests that you'd like to see coming up, feature that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get the instant updates as soon as they come out. And remember, whatever you value is wealth to you. Remember, whatever you send out will come back to you. Good night, Brisbane. Good afternoon, Nick. Good night, Asher Rose. Daddy loves you. And see you next week for another Wealth Boomerang Show. Thank you so much.
It really matters what you think. It also matters what you do. So if your brain waves don't just sink, what you send out comes back to you. Boomerang, boomerang. Your head is there to dream your dreams. Your feet are there to follow through. Your heart is like a boomerang, boomerang. What you send out comes back to you. Boomerang, boomerang. Boomerang, boomerang. Look inside and you will find all your wealth's inside of you. Well, flow starts inside your mind. What you send out comes back to you. What you send out comes back to you. Your heart is like a boomerang.